Hey,
So,
Coach.
guys,
Thanks for taking the time today.
yeah, thanks for having me. It's nice to meet you all virtually.
We'll get started here with Jimmy Kemsky and then Jeff McLean.
Hey, Nick. Nice to sort of meet you too.
Nice to meet you,
Um,
Jimmy.
in the old scheme, Jim Schwartz said that it was tougher for linebackers and safeties to get on the field early in their careers as opposed to other positions on defense. And the two rookie draft picks last year, Davion Taylor and Sean Bradley, didn't play much. Would you say the same is true of the defensive scheme that JG is implementing? And what are your initial impressions of Taylor and Bradley?
Yeah, without speaking on the scheme too much, I think just my job as a position coach is to get everybody ready to play, whether it's a veteran or a second year guy like DT and Sean or the rookies, right? So my job as a coach, is to gauge, okay, one, like where is this guy at in his overall knowledge of football? And then what do I have to do to cater his learning so that if he's one of our better players, he gets on the field? So, I would say that no matter if the guy's a rookie or if the guy's a veteran, it's about maximizing their knowledge so that they can go out there and make the correct decisions and carry it out with the correct actions. And that's what the game is really all about, decisions and actions. Now, DT and Sean and really the entire room really did a great job all OTAs. We talk about getting 1% better every day, and I think all of them came to work and they all got better every day.
Go ahead, Jeff, and then John McMullen.
Nick, I believe that you're the youngest position coach in the NFL, or at least one of them. How do you compensate for what you lack in experience?
Yeah, good question, Jeff. I guess I don't think about it too much as far as where do I lack in my lack of experience. I just try to focus on accumulating as much knowledge as possible, whether that's, utilizing Jonathan Gannon or Denard Wilson, Tracy Rocker, the offensive coaches. Continuous learning, I think, has been critical for me, and utilizing my time in the off season where, normally you might have some time off, but to actually continue to study and try to soak in as much as possible. Even going back to when I was in Minnesota, like just soaking in as much as I could from Coach Zimmer and everybody I worked with there, pivotal to your growth as a coach, no matter what level whatever age or experience you're at. So that's something I hope to continue as I become an old coach, is to continue to enhance my knowledge, no matter what my age is. I think, in this game, it's forever adapting game, and you have to be willing to adapt the way you think and some of your philosophies. You can't be set in stone on any one way. So, I kind of look at that as this is how I carry my life, trying to be a continuous learner and accepting that I'm not always going to have all the answers. And to be honest, I got my room and I said, hey guys, I don't have all the answers. So I'm open to hear communication back to you guys from you guys so we put the best product on the field. So it's not just what do I know, you guys stay in your lane and go do exactly what I say. No, I love feedback from these guys because my room is extremely intelligent on its own, but the players have a different perspective on the field. And so the more feedback I can get from them, it really actually enhances my knowledge as well. And then together we can put together the best product of them going out there and maximizing themselves.
John and then Ed Kratz.
Hey, Nick. Nice to meet you. You mentioned your time in Minnesota a little bit. You've got a player. You had Minnesota and Eric Wilson. How much does that help, sort of, with the other players as far as you want to accomplish having somebody like Eric that you've worked with for a couple of years?
Yeah, I mean, you add Eric Wilson, whether I worked with him or not, he adds value to your team because he's talented, he loves football, he works hard, and I've seen Eric really project into a great leader since being here. Back at Minnesota, he was in a room where he had some older guys with him, and he definitely led by example, but he was the younger guy. And so now coming in, he's actually one of our older linebackers. He's done a phenomenal job of taking guys along and helping lead and show them, hey, this is how we work, this is how we study, so on and so forth. So he's been a huge outside of what he's able to do on the field, just from a leadership standpoint. And this guy is like, hey man, he's always in the building. He's working hard. Just sets the tone for not just the linebackers, not just the defense, but the entire team. I think he's a valuable member.
Go ahead, Ed, and then Dave Zangaro.
Hey, Nick, nice to meet you. I just wanted to follow up on Jeff's question a little bit. How did this opportunity arise for you, and what are some of your long-term aspirations in the game? I imagine being just 27, I guess you are, you have greater aspirations at some point.
Yeah, I would say this came about from being lucky to be around the right people and really good people. And not just in my coaching career, but my entire life, just going back to my family, getting me on the right track of being obsessed with football at a very young age, father, brother, right? Just like that was life, was all football. So starting with them, my brother coached me in high school. I played with my other older brother in college. Those guys, they showed me the ropes on how to work, how to study the game. They taught me the game. And then when I was a player in college, I had some great coaches there. And then, I'm lucky enough to get a start with the Vikings at a very early age. And the people that I was around, Coach Zimmer, Jeff Howard, who's with the Cleveland Browns now, like they actually really took the time to make sure that I, not only did my job as a quality control coach for them, but truly learned to become a good coach and understood offense and defensive concepts and the why, really the why behind everything. Just fortunate to be around those people. And I just tried to soak it in and maximize and really not disappoint those guys so that I could be the best servant to them, right? I was just trying to serve them to make them better head coach, better position coach, whatever it may be. And, really fortunate to be around the coaches that I'm with now, Coach Sirianni, Gannon, right? To be around these guys, and not only they put the trust in me, but that they're continuing to educate me on different things of the game of football.
So your aspirations, head coach, you want to be a head coach someday, you think?
Yeah, I think, coordinator, head coach, sure, like it probably would be great, but it's not something that I really want to sit here and focus on because I think it'll take away from me as a linebacker coach. So my aspiration right now is to be the best linebacker coach I can be day in and day out, whether that's, right now, what am I going to go do after this? Got to make sure that it's leading towards how can I coach my room better, right? What do I got to do? I got to go make a teach tape or whatever it is, just kind of the one day at a time focus, 1% better every day. Is really, yeah, you might have aspirations down the line, but you just got to stay present in order to maximize yourself.
Thank you.
Dave and then Zach Berman.
Hi, Nick. How would you describe Jonathan Gannon as a defensive coordinator?
How would I describe Jonathan Gannon as a defensive coordinator? Can I just describe Jonathan Gannon as Jonathan Gannon?
Sure. And then maybe, some of the parts of his personality or coaching style that you think would lend themselves to being a defensive coordinator.
Yeah. So Jonathan, as far as a leader, right? So he leads the defense. He leads the defensive coaches. He is very open-minded, right? He's going to listen to every single coach on the staff. And that's been great to work with because if I feel like I have a good idea, I know Jonathan's going to listen. Right, and Jonathan has a low ego, and he's about putting whatever we can, the best product out on the field, whatever we got to do that. So I think Jonathan, from a leadership standpoint, is very much give his coaches autonomy. Right, that's how I would describe Jonathan from a leadership role. Is he distributes the autonomy and lets guys take ownership in the room. He lets me take ownership in the linebacker room. How do you want to do this? How do you want to do that? Right, and he knows that if he just stuck to his knowledge, we're only going to go as far as his knowledge. So he not only utilizes his knowledge, but everyone else is on the staff, and now that the room for growth is that much greater. So Jonathan, from a defensive coordinator standpoint, to me is an excellent leader because he's going to maximize everybody's talent from the coaches to the players.
Go ahead, Zach, and then Mike K.
Hey, Nick, nice to meet you virtual here.
You too, Zach.
edge rushers moving to what we would label as linebackers. You have a safety moving to what we would label as a linebacker. What do you attribute this to? Is it something specific about what you seek in the position? Is it the way the game's evolving? How do you account for that?
Yeah, that's a really good question. Really, it just comes down to you want guys that are versatile, right? You want guys that are big. You want guys that are fast. You want guys that are smart, right? You want guys that have a high motor. To me, like high motor is one of the most important qualities of a linebacker, whether he's a big guy, small guy, extremely fast. Like you have to have, the linebackers are center of the defense. So they have to get to the football. So it's not about necessarily like you're piecing together some crazy puzzle of this type of guy here and this type of guy here. No, you just take guys that you feel are extremely talented, and they might have certain talents that are above and beyond and some that are more middle of the pack. But the more they can do, the more versatile your linebacking room can be, the better.
All right, we have time for 2 more before we get Denard Wilson. So we'll go to Mike and then Paul Domowich.
Hey, Nick, nice to meet you. So you played in the Big Ten while TJ was in the Big Ten. I think you're the same age as Alex. We talk about the youth, but what's the benefit and the relatability standpoint with you and the players that are around your age or out there on the field as well? How has that helped you kind of connect in your first year as a main position coach?
You know, I think that if there is an aspect of age that helps me connect, I don't know about it, because I think connection is truly about getting to know somebody and then showing them that you care and you really want to make them better and that you're able to make them better, right? Every player just wants to become a better player. So when you can show them you can make them a better football player, more competent at the game, then you connect with them. So whether I was, 27 years old or if I was 57 years old, if I can show these guys, get to know them, know their backgrounds, who are they, connect, that's a key thing that Coach Sirianni has really installed in this team, is the connection with the players, right? Coach to player, coach to coach, player to player. When we get to know people, right, it allows us to connect with them at a better level. So I don't know if age plays a role. Maybe it does, maybe it doesn't. To me, the big thing is showing these guys I can make them better and showing them that I'm truly invested in them hitting their ceilings.
Last one here from Paul.
Yeah, Nick, I'm curious, what are the biggest things you learned from Mike Zimmer?
From Coach Zimmer, that's a really good question. You kind of take for granted, like you're in the mix and you're game planning and you're just focused on doing a really good job at your job. And I didn't realize I was, at a very young age in my coaching career, that he was really teaching me how do you really break down and game plan for an opponent. Just kind of thinking about our in-season schedule, the way he viewed the game, the way that he looked at each coordinator differently, trying to find that coordinator, his DNA. What is this guy really about? And then how are we going to counter that on defense to take away really whatever it is that they do well? And so you're so wrapped up in it, and you didn't realize that this guy is like laying the path, or like, hey, dude, this is how you look at the game, right? And you almost take it for granted a little bit because you didn't realize he was doing it. But, I would say that coupled with just his overall knowledge of tactics and fundamentals, right? Like this guy was in there, he would get in front of the whole defense and he'd coach the corner and then he'd hop right back down to the defensive tackle. I mean, he saw all 11 very well, and I was sitting up at the front of the room because, I'm working the computer for him, and I see his eyes. His eyes are like this when he's watching, right? They're all over the place because he's coaching all 11 positions at a high level. So just soaking up everything that he said from the linebackers to the D-line to the DBs to this is why we're calling this coverage, this front, whatever it was, this blitz. You accumulate a lot of knowledge over the course of a year, and now you stack on a handful of years working under Coach Zimmer, and it's hard to quantify how much you learned during that time, but it's definitely a lot.
You mentioned working the computer for him. I understand that's why he hired you, because he wanted somebody that was good with the computer.
Yeah, I mean, I think in today's world, if you're at an entry level, you better be good with the computer. You you can't not know how to work a computer. So.
All right. Thanks for the time today, Coach.
Yeah, appreciate it. Thank you, guys. It's nice meeting you.